So just taking a quick look at Chainlink then on our daily time frame here for another daily update on the channel. Before we begin, as always, go down below and sign up to BITUNIX. They're giving you a 30% bonus if you deposit and trade on their platform. If you deposit $1,000 and trade, you can receive a $300 bonus instantly. Really good for trading these markets because they are getting pretty spicy at the minute. As we can see then, Chainlink in a bit of an interesting spot right now. We've obviously got this really nice obvious trend line of liquidity above that we can go and target. We've got this big daily fair value gap above that we've been rejecting out of for a good while, as you can see here. We had some weird price action before the drop. As you can see, we did have this big daily fair value gap here that we did close above, and then we immediately closed back below, which was pretty bearish in my opinion. You can see we came down and actually swept liquidity here. Got a bit of accumulation manipulation, then we were looking for distribution. We obviously got the trigger for a long position here as well, but we were kind of longing straight into this trend line resistance, and you can see we rejected that pretty hard. And then we had the huge liquidation cascade that we saw a few weeks ago on the Friday. Massive liquidation cascade for Chainlink, coming all the way down to that 0.23 Fibonacci, back testing into our bear market range all the way down here that we had so many years ago. Feels like forever ago. This is like 2 years ago now that this occurred. Obviously we've been making bullish market structure since then, but struggling a little bit recently. Chainlink overall has actually been outperforming the vast majority of altcoins, looking more highly correlated to Ethereum's price action than the rest of the altcoin basket. You can see here we obviously had the tariff range, but Chainlink was actually breaking market structure to the upside, interestingly. And right now Chainlink in a very fascinating spot, to be honest. You can see if you discount this, the massive wick that we saw, we've actually got a really interesting trade here for Chainlink right now. If you take a look at what's going on here, we've actually got this accumulation, we've got the manipulation, we've actually got, if you discount this wick as well, a manipulation leg below this area here, where everyone's probably starting to get into longs again with their stop loss, you know, below this area here. And they're just discounting this massive wick. We've actually back tested our 0.50 Fibonacci here. We're getting a good reaction out of this. Bitcoin looking bullish today, looking like it wants to come and break up above some of these fair value gap areas. If you take a look here, Bitcoin came down, bounced out of this unaddressed daily fair value gap below, sweeping out tons of liquidity here, and then getting a really bullish reaction out of this area, as you can see, coming back up through some really key areas of resistance as well. If you take a look on the 4 hour, you can see that Bitcoin has actually come back above this 4 hour fair value gap, which I actually took as a trade. In fact, let me show you the other chart because it's a bit cleaner. You can see this is my trade that I'm currently in for Bitcoin. Pretty obvious to me. We've got this really good trend line liquidity above, loads of stop losses above here, no doubt. You can see we obviously came down, tapped that daily fair value gap, really good rejection, loads of orders coming in here, big volume coming in here on these big green candles, and then obviously consolidating over the weekend as we often do. And then you see when you get these two big green candles coming in with good volume, we're breaking through this trend line, and we're also closing back above this fair value gap, which on these legs down have been resistance. As you can see, these big 4 hour fair value gaps that are also daily fair value gaps have been resistance on the way down. But you can see here looking like we might be shifting market structure here. I got into my long position here for Bitcoin. We came up, rejected out of the daily, back tested the 4 hour, and then we're getting really good volume coming in here over the past few candles, ripping through that resistance. And right now, if Bitcoin does come up and close above this daily fair value gap today, we're going to be in good shape, in my opinion, for ripping up through some of these levels of liquidity and reversing up. This all means for Chainlink that we've got an interesting trade right now that we could have taken potentially. I didn't take this because I took the Bitcoin trade, but you can see here this was an interesting trade for me. You've got your huge drop to the downside, but if you discount this manipulation wick, which this wick was pretty insane, you can see we've got this second leg to the downside where we're tapping into this 0.50 Fibonacci, which is an interesting one. We've also come down and swept liquidity here, but you can see if you're looking at Bitcoin and you're thinking Bitcoin's bouncing and ripping through a fair value gap, you could also have taken this trade for Chainlink as well. You can see we've got this 4 hour fair value gap here. Previously, these fair value gaps have been resistance, as you can see on the way down. Pretty much all these fair value gaps on the way down have all been resistance. We've got one here. This has been turned into resistance. There's one here, which was resistance as well. You can see all of these on the way down here have been resistance, but when you get low enough, you realize that we're actually getting into an area where we're probably going to start seeing buyers coming in and taking back control of the market. And you can see quite clearly here we came down, tapped into this Fibonacci 0.50. This has also got a high correlation to that Bitcoin price action here, as you can see. Chainlink coming up here in a really interesting way, closing above this fair value gap for the first time, because as you can see on the way down here, we have not closed above any fair value gaps at all. All of these fair value gaps have been basically sending us lower and acting as resistance, and then lo and behold, you can see the first fair value gap here. I need to stop putting this on auto because that massive wick is just freaking the chart out. But as you can see, we came up here very obviously. Good momentum coming in, just like with Bitcoin, closing above our fair value gap there. Just have your very obvious, you come up for your one-to-one that's already been hit. But it was very similar, obviously, to Bitcoin's price action since we have such a high correlation. Closed above, came back down, retested as support. Massive volume coming in over the past 3 or 4 candles here. This is essentially over the past, what is it, 10 hours or so. Big volume coming in. We come up and hit the 1-for-1. And interestingly enough, we've actually closed above this second fair value gap here, which was previously resistance as well. This is all just telling me that we're probably going to continue higher. We have got this big 4 hour above, obviously, as well, which is looking like where people are starting to take profits a bit. But right now, this would have been a great trade for Chainlink. But obviously, we have got the big elephant in the room, which is this massive daily fair value gap, which we are tapping into now as well. Who knows if we're going to break this? This is going to all be dependent on Bitcoin and whether we can get good momentum up back through some of these levels here for Bitcoin itself. But Chainlink right now looking like it's doing pretty good. This was a pretty good trade. You could have just took a 1R on this and closed it for profit right now. Overall, I'm just in the Bitcoin trade, which is obviously very similar. And I'm currently break even. And I'm just going to wait and see if we accelerate through some of these levels here, because I've got a suspicion that we're probably going to start accelerating through some of this liquidity. This trend line liquidity, very obvious target for me. Lots and lots of stop losses up here to go and take. I think people are going to be shocked at how fast you can potentially rip through these kinds of positions. Just like we did previously on this trade. Exactly the same trade, basically. Trend line resistance. Inverting. We've swept all this liquidity out. We've come down into a good area of discount. We've got good volume breaking through the trend line, and we're breaking through fair value gaps. This one went all the way back to the all-time high, which was an interesting one. So right now I'm going to ride my luck, and I'm going to see whether or not I can get more RR on this trade. Currently up 1R, which would have been absolutely fine. But right now, looking pretty good. Chainlink here was the same trade, basically. This would have been a winner as well. As you would expect, once you start, when you look at these price arrays, I need to stop doing this auto on my chart. This big wick's freaking me out. But you can see how significant these fair value gaps have been. They've been resistance all the way down. But then when you start inverting them and you're tapping into these lower levels of these big key levels down below, this 050 on the Chainlink specifically, and you start getting momentum and inversing them back up, you can see how these trades have a high confluence and a high percentage chance of working out, especially when you've got this confluence with Bitcoin also looking the same. Overall, I think this was a pretty nailed on trade. You could have taken this and been profitable. And right now, we're just going to wait and see how far Bitcoin can go. As always, thanks a lot for watching, guys. Please do like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts. Check back every day for daily updates and get some free money in the description below. Cheers.